All right, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the CFL podcast where we talk everything college football, especially HBCU football. And today we have the legend himself, Bruce Eugene. All right, three-time Walter Payton Award finalist, two-time SWAC Offensive Player of the Year, and Grambling's all-time passing leader with 13,000 yards and 140 touchdowns. What's going on, Bruce?
Man, I'm chilling, just relax, man.
Man, listen,
enjoying this.
I feel you. I feel you. Listen, I want to tell you, thank you so much, man, for agreeing to this interview, bro. You were a big reason on why I got into college football as a kid after seeing you on TV. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So Bruce, I'm gonna ask you a couple of little icebreakers, just to relieve some of the tension a little bit. You cool with that?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So check this out. Game on the line. It's the last drive. You need a quarterback to go down and score. Out of Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Peyton Manning, who you going with?
I'm a Peyton Manning fan, so I'm rocking with Peyton Manning.
Okay.
I'm a Peyton Manning fan.
Play styles are similar, huh?
Play style is similar, calls his own plays, and I think what everybody do nowadays pretty much comes from what Peyton was doing in terms of calling all his plays, the dummy audibles and things of that nature.
Right.
I think a lot of people take what they do, they got it from Peyton.
Okay, I got you. All right, so who is the better runner? Michael Vick, Cam Newton, or Lamar Jackson?
Oh, man, I got to go with Mike Vick, man. I love Lamar, freak athlete, but Mike Vick again, you know what I'm saying? He started it, you know what I'm saying? He's the whole thing. He's the guy that everybody emulate their game after, man. Like,
absolutely.
Mike Vick was special. I saw him. I was a big Florida State fan. So when Florida State played Virginia Tech in the Sugar Bowl, you know, I'm like, oh, it ain't gonna be close. We're gonna beat the brakes off them, man.
Yeah.
To watch Mike Vick put on the show that day, it was like, wow, this dude is special, man. Yeah, man. And like I said, and as we got older, I was friends with him and his brother Marcus and everything else. So yeah, I'm a Mike Vick fan. Yeah.
Oh, that's correct. Okay. All right. So you being a former quarterback, who would you rather have to throw to for a weapon? DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, or Julio Jones?
Julio.
Oh, that was quick.
Julio, man. Julio is size and speed together. Devontae Adams is special.
Yeah.
Route running, you know what I'm saying, getting out of breaks is crazy. Even DeAndre Hopkins, you know what I'm saying, he plays big and everything else. But Julio he's everything in one. You know what I'm saying? He's the big guy can go up and get it. You know what I'm saying? Speed, he can run away from you. He can run routes. So I'm a Julio fan.
I get you. All right. I agree, by the way. Yeah. All right. So, Bruce, you was born in New Orleans. Okay. Growing up in a single-parent household with your mom and older siblings, you were determined to make a better life for you and them. So you started focusing on sports, right? Describe what your childhood was like in New Orleans for.
It was rough growing up in New Orleans. I grew up in New Orleans when New Orleans was the murder capital of the world. You know what I'm saying? A lot of my family members, you know, I tell people time and time again, you know what I'm saying? Like, God bless the dead. My grandmother was in a drug gang. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I had other family members in the drug game. So for me, it was either sports or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Either sports or fall off into what you would call a family business.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was sports. You know, I was more afraid of my mom being inside before it get dark or when we get a beating, you know what I'm saying, than hanging outside and, you know, doing what everybody else doing, selling drugs and everything else. So for me, you know what I'm saying, it was rough, but it made me who I am today.
Okay. So, and you said that your mom was a big Dallas Cowboys fan, and she's the one who actually taught you how to play football.
Die hard Dallas Cowboys fan. You know what I'm saying? My mom used to go down into, you know, I lived in the St. Thomas Projects in New Orleans, you know, which is called the 10th Ward. And that's one of the reasons why I wore the number 10. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people didn't know I wore 10 because I was from the 10th Ward. And it was, for me, it was letting all my boys back home know that supported me, who rocked out with me, that, yo, I'm holding it down in college. You know what I'm saying? But to get back on the point about my mom used to go downstairs into the front court with me and we used to play pitch back and forth, throwing the ball and everything else. So as I got older, as I got older and everything else, playing with the guys in the neighborhood, I would be the youngest guy playing with the older guys, and I would be playing quarterback. They would always want me to play quarterback. So by the time I got to high school and everything else, I had been doing it, but I didn't do it in the organized fashion of high school football.
Mm-hmm.
I played street ball, pole to pole, car to car,
yeah,
cut to cut.
All right. So, was there any point in time that she put you through drills? Was she like a coach to you? Would teaching you sometimes?
No, it was just more. She would play pitch. She was just telling me, follow through, and things like that. She was creating me to be a quarterback before I even became a quarterback.
Mm.
So, yeah, that was her. Follow through. Throw it further.
Yeah.
Throw it here.
Okay. All right. So, other than football, you also played basketball, baseball, and you attempted track and field. How good were you in those other three areas of sports?
In basketball, I was nice. I played point guard. I played shooting guard first. My first year, I played shooting guard. I ain't played no defense, none. Coach used to say, "Hey," coach used to be like, "Look, let me look at the five that's on the floor. You put me on the sorriest kid on the floor. I ain't play no defense."
Oh man.
And then my senior year, I moved to point guard, and I averaged like 18 points, like 15 assists.
Okay.
So I was pretty good at the point guard. I wasn't a fancy point guard who's gonna do all that.
Yeah.
Dancing and all in front of you. Nah. I used to have them little bitty guards trying to guard me. So I had to turn around. I had to play old school basketball. Put my butt on them and back them on down. You know what I'm saying? Like Mark Jackson and those boys back in the days, like putting it on and walk you down to get the offense set up.
Okay.
Baseball was fun. Baseball was fun, but it wasn't for me because after playing quarterback and then trying to go pitch a baseball, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. So baseball was cool. Baseball was cool growing up. And track and field, I only did that to get out of school. It's like the track and field always left early. So I was like, I don't want to be in school. And then I wasn't doing any running events because that wasn't happening. But I threw the javelin, and it was fun. It was fun. It was rough at first because I kept trying to throw it like a football. But once I got my form down, I was good.
Okay. All right. That's crazy. All right. So at one point in time during your high school career, you actually asked your aunt to enroll you in Cohen College Prep High School.
Yeah.
And your mom,
so what happened?
She was upset about that.
Yeah.
How did it
go? So my freshman year, I went to magnet school, public school called McDonald 35, and I liked it. But at 35, a lot of my friends were there, but we played the same position. So at the point in time at 35, I was going to play football, but because I was a big guy, they put me at fullback and were trying to put me on the line. I'm like, I don't want to play that. I'm not a big guy. Like I'm a skilled big guy. Mm-hmm. And one of my good friends, Brett, was the quarterback. So both of us were freshmen at the time. So I know they wasn't going to replace him. So I wanted to go to the public school in my neighborhood. So my aunt was going to enroll my cousin. So when I asked her can she enroll me, she was like, give me the paperwork and I'll do it. But, without my mom knowing. So once we did it, and I came home and told my mom that I made the varsity basketball team that summer going into my sophomore year. So she assumed she assumed it was at McDonald 35. I was like, no, it said Cohen. She was like, Cohen? Who the hell signed you up for Cohen? So, I got yelled at. And everything else. But then once we sat down, she was like, okay, if you're going to go there and you're going to give your best, I had to maintain the 3.5 or higher. I had my stipulations that I had to do in order to stay at Cohen. So, once I got there, I took care of business in the classroom, which made playing sports easy.
Got to. That's always how you make moms happy.
Exactly.
All right. So you were getting attention from LSU, Arkansas, and Tulane before a fractured ankle, if I'm guessing correctly, kind of took away from that attention from those schools. when they stopped calling and when they stopped talking to you as much as they were, what was going through your head at that point in time?
I really didn't think that I would even go to college. I didn't think anybody was gonna come and give me a chance. The game I fractured my ankle was the game before the playoffs. I had 275 yards passing in the second quarter.
Right.
So it was like I was en route to having a huge game. And when that happened, I stopped hearing from people. And it was rough. I just thought I was gonna play high school ball and then going to find a job and things like that. But Texas Southern came, and they offered me a scholarship, and then Grambling came afterwards, but they didn't have a scholarship to offer. But my whole family, my family went to Grambling. Guys from my project went to Grambling, so all I knew was Grambling and the G. Right. So when I got the chance to go to Grambling, even as a walk-on, I was taking that opportunity.
Okay. And when you got there, you had, 5 quarterbacks ahead of you? Randy Hines, J.J. Brown.
Yeah, it was
5 quarterbacks.
Oh, man, that break.
You had your work cut out for you.
So when we got there, I was the only quarterback that was not on scholarship.
Right.
We had 5 other quarterbacks. We had Michael Mays, Randy Hines, J.J. Brown, Jarzowski Lee, and Aaron Thomas. All 5 of them was on scholarship.
Lord.
And then you had me to walk on. So, when I came in, I kid you not, it wasn't about being nervous or anything. I came in with the mindset is I need to get somebody money.
Right.
I'm coming to take somebody money. So my mindset when it came in was like, let's go to work. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you, after being raised how I was being raised and everything else, I ain't have the best of the best things. So I knew, me staying in college and everything else, it was gonna depend on the work I put in. And that work didn't start until the second half of my freshman year, because the first half of my freshman year, I partied like a rock star.
Oh,
I had a 1.71. I had a 1.71 at the midway point of my freshman year.
And you all grades. Like, did she know your GPA?
Look, I got a phone call one day, right? So Coach Williams, Doug Williams, he called me to his office and said, "Hey, y'all," he called me Fatback.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, tell Fatback come into my office." So I come into his office, he closed the door. As soon as I say, "Yeah, Coach," on the speakerphone was my mother. "Oh yeah, Coach,
no.
you got the damn 1.71. I'm gonna whoop you. I'm gonna come up there." It was crazy. And I'm looking at Coach Williams like, "You a snitch." You a snitch.
Okay.
Nah, man, my mom was a stickler. She was a stickler.
Okay.
Definitely was, man. But the competition made me better.
Of course. And I was just gonna.
It definitely made me better.
You said that you spent that year watching game film on Lionel Hayes, trying to get better and trying to learn and things like that.
That's Steve, man. Steve, the offense that we were running, he was the first one to run it the year before. So what I did was I wanted to go back and watch everything that they had done previously.
Right.
Because I wanted to see what they had done. So now I can get a jump on everything else. And I went back and I watched that, and I watched all of his mistakes and misreads and things like that, the great reads he made, the great balls and everything else. So I just took that, and when my number was called, I wanted to make sure I was prepared and was ready.
Gotcha.
My first year, I spent the whole first year just watching film. Watching film. I wasn't playing. I redshirted. I wasn't playing. So games for me was practice.
Gotcha.
So I approached it that way. I approached practice like it was a game for me, because as a scout teamer, my job was to get the starters ready to play. So, when I came in and we went after it. And then, I got into fights as a freshman quarterback. I was reckless. I got into fights with D linemen and linebackers.
D linemen?
Yeah. I stayed fighting. Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh man.
It was crazy. But I made them better, and they made me better. And that year for the spring game, that was my coming out party because now you can't redshirt me anymore.
Right.
So it was my chance to show you what I've learned and the type of person you have on the sideline ready to go.
Okay.
You know, and I had a great spring game. I threw 3 touchdowns, and before you know it, it was saying quarterback controversy.
I got you. Okay, because you were given the starting nod going into your sophomore year, right?
Into my redshirt sophomore year,
Redshirt
I got the starting nod. My redshirt freshman year, I was spending time with Randy because Randy had taken over the starter my freshman year after the first game. The year I redshirted, and then we won the championship. And then the next year, Randy was the starter. Michael Mays was the backup. J.J. Brown had switched positions to DB. And then you had Aaron Thomas and Jarzowski Lee. And going into that first game, I thought I was the third string. But when Randy was messing up during the game, Coach Williams said, give me Bruce instead of Michael Mays. He said, give me Bruce. Told me to warm up. So I was like, oh, you talking to me.
Right.
So I gave the clipboard to Michael Mays. Like, here you go. You know, and I went in the game, and my very first pass I ever threw in the college game was an incompletion. I had a 12-yard out route. I was so nervous when I win the game, the ball hit the ground at like 7 yards. So I was so nervous, but Coach reassured me. You know, he just told me calm down and gave me the confidence. And I threw a touchdown in my very first game. We won the game, and you know, they were saying quarterback controversy between me and Randy Hines, who's going to start the next week. And I did it. And I committed the ultimate sin. I missed the weight room. Oh. So when I missed the weight room, that gave Randy the nod to start. Yeah. And I was the backup just splitting time with Randy. Okay.
All right. And so you were benched at the McNeese State game?
Oh, yeah, my redshirt sophomore year. Yeah, when I started.
You were benched.
I was bad.
Yeah. So like after that game, like did you think that it was still a possibility for you to play quarterback at Grambling? Like were you
I tried to go home.
Oh.
I tried to go home. I called my mom like I'm coming home. They bench me. They starting this freshman over me. All this work and time I put in. I'm coming home. My mom said, coming home where? Coming home to who?
Right.
She said, you're gonna sit on that sideline and be the biggest cheerleader you've ever been in your life. She's like, you on scholarship. You crazy. You better sit down and start cheering and get your pom-poms.
Right.
She was like, you know, and I tell people right now today, if Gary Cooper don't catch cramps, there's no Bruce Eugene.
Really?
Gary Cooper caught cramps. He wasn't playing great, but he was managing the game, the Alcorn game that he started. And when he caught cramps, I grabbed my helmet to go in the game, and the whole crowd started booing me. You know, and this is at Grambling. Everybody started booing. So, you know, me, I'm like, oh, they want to boo me and everything else. Like, oh, okay, all right. You know, so they called the timeout. Gary came back into the game, and then as the game went on, Gary caught cramps again. So now he had to come out of the game. And then when he came out, I went in the game. I threw a touchdown pass. We got a turnover. Instead of going back to Gary, Coach Williams said, give me Bruce. And I came in. I threw a touchdown pass. We won the game. And once the game was over, going to the next week, Coach Williams said, we're gonna kill all questions. Bruce Eugene is my starter for the rest of the year.
And that was music to your ears, huh?
And that right there led into the type of year I had with myself, Tremont Douglas, and our guys. It was like we got into a rhythm that it ain't too many people can get into. Like we were rolling. Right.
And that rolling continued until the season where BET brought that show, Season of the Tiger, to y'all campus. that was my first time seeing you as a kid. You know, so I'm watching the Tiger, and I'm seeing y'all. I'm seeing you, Coach Spears. I'm seeing Blue, and y'all killing it. And you know, the way the show made it seem, it was like y'all was always on the brink of losing so many games, but y'all were averaging 50 points a game that season, right?
Everybody played Grambling Get 50. We took the song that Chingy made about everybody in the club get tipsy, and we
Yeah.
turned that into everybody play Grambling Get 50.
Ooh,
And
I
I'm
like
talking about every week our mindset was we already had 50 points.
Mm-hmm.
We knew we had 50 walking into the game. Now, what we score after 50 depends on the defense we playing, but we knew we were going to get 50. And I'm talking about, like I said, like my first year, that year when we did that, it was crazy. And it's almost like something got into us where it didn't matter who we played.
Right.
It didn't matter who we played, what we did. It was like we were just on one accord. You know, we were all clicking.
Right. And during that year, I would see Coach Spears just like getting upset for everything. You know, like, was he a perfectionist as a coach?
Yo, he's a perfectionist to the T. I'm talking about he left no stones unturned. You know, he dotted all I's, crossed all T's. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was one of those type guys, and he was so to the point, so detailed. You know, like, a lot of times I went into the game knowing what team's going to do before they even did it.
Right.
Because of the film we watched, how detail-oriented he was and everything like that. And you couldn't say nothing bad about Grambling. Like, you couldn't give us a compliment and then add but, whatever. He would take that but and turn that into like a 15-minute speech on disrespect, and they don't respect you and everything else. So our mindset at game time was, look, it's either kill or be killed. So it's almost like he had us programmed. But I'm talking about one of the greatest. I'm talking about, if you need somebody to get you motivated, just listen to him talk and speak on whatever. You be ready to run through a brick wall for him.
And you know what? I was going to ask you. He would say right on, right on, right on at the end of every, right before y'all left for the field. What was that about? What was that about?
Oh, yeah. That was a song that back in the days our Grambling great teams. You know, they used to call themselves Big Red. You know, they used to say, Big Red, keep moving on, right on, right on, right on.
Gotcha.
So that was week to week as you're beating people down. You know what I'm saying? It's just, like, you know, Big Red moving on. And when we walked into the games, you know, it was like I said, it was no doubt in our mind that we was gonna win. It was just about how much.
Okay. Now, to end your Grambling career, you had 56 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. You was on fire that year. You was second team all passing in the SWAC in a career with 13,530 yards, 140 touchdowns to only 38 picks. And yet you still went undrafted. Why do you think that is? Was it because of discrimination of HBCU players? Or,
well, you know, with HBCU players, we get scrutinized harder than they do at the predominantly white institutions. You know what I'm saying? I didn't help myself. Either, because, you know what I'm saying, my weight fluctuated that year. Right. You know, and I was a big quarterback, so, you know, them, as they would say, we don't know if we want to take a chance at a guy like that. But by the time I went into the combine, I was down to 247. So I went from 311 to 247. So I was in shape, but again, nobody still wanted to take that chance, and I felt like I was easily one of the best quarterbacks. Right. In that draft, easy when it turned in terms of being a pure passer, being a leader. You know, I had the highest score in the Wonderlic test during the draft. Right. You know, so it wasn't that I wasn't smart and I couldn't pick up anything. It was just, you know, everybody wanted the beautiful guy, the one who looked like this and looked like that. They didn't want the chubby kid and everything else. So, you know, I went undrafted, but I was okay with it. You know what I'm saying? I was okay with it because, again, it forced me to keep that chip on my shoulder and to stay motivated.
Right. And then you ended up taking an undrafted free agent deal with the New Orleans Saints for a short time.
Yeah, I took it with the with the Saints. I went to the Saints because I was going to go to Jacksonville Jaguars because, you know, Shaq Harris, who's a Grambling alum, was in the front office with Jacksonville. But they already had 3 black quarterbacks there. Right. You know, they had Byron Leftwich, they had David Garoy, and then they had Quinn Gray. So, you know, I was thinking to myself, I can go and beat Quinn Gray out and be the third quarterback. Right. You know, that was my thought process. But, after talking it out and everything else, it was like, you know what? Sean Payton is new. Drew Brees is coming over. See, he's injured right now, so now you can go in there and they can at least give you opportunity to compete and everything else. But the opposite thing happened. We didn't get that. I didn't get that opportunity like that.
Okay. So HBCU football this year is on an uproar. As a matter of fact, it's getting a lot of buzz. And one of the top quarterbacks in the HBCU right now is Aqeel Glass from Alabama A&M, a legitimate draft prospect. What advice would you have for him getting ready for the NFL draft when his college career is over with?
Same thing. Just make sure you cross all T's and dot all I's. Make sure you're clean cut. Make sure you don't have anything following you and everything else, because as much as I like to say the BET show helped me, it also hurt me because a lot of the storyline that they put together wasn't true, and they put together for TV.
Right.
So when people watch the show, they would think that I'm this egotistical type guy when they made it look like I missed practice or I missed the weight room and things like that. And when I was the leader, I never missed. I was always there, first one in, last one out. I was always everything else. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, they made it look like that. So for people that watched that prior to the draft, they was like, nah, we can't take a chance on this guy. So I would say, look, just continue to be clean cut. You know what I'm saying? There's no bad news out there on Aqeel Glass. Everything you see about him has been nothing but good things. So just pretty much stay the course.
Okay.
Stay the course, continue doing what you're doing, and trust the people that have gotten you to this point.
Right. So what advice would you have for a freshman like Sheduer Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, who was a 4-star guy, could have went to any Power 5 school, but he chose Jackson State? What advice would you have for him? Because he's getting a lot of flack for some of the things that he's been saying about how he's not worried about any other team in the SWAC conference. Like, what is your advice to him?
Well, everybody look at the comments he said as being arrogant. You know what I'm saying? It's not arrogant when you're a confident individual, and that's how you feel. That's how you feel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we can talk about Sheduer. Grambling has a quarterback, my quarterback that I sit down there, a freshman by the name of Noah Bodden, 6'4", 215. That, let me tell you something. While everybody worrying about Sheduer, they better keep their eyes open and worry about him, because he's special.
He's a monster.
He's special. He played for me in high school. I've taught him everything, the ins and outs about playing the position. So for sure, for Sheduer, he's going to get that flack anyway, because Deion Sanders is his dad.
Right.
They got all these Power 5 transfers that came into Jackson State. So on paper, you're the paper champions when people look at it. But the only thing about football is you don't win the game on paper. You got to play the game. So as much as he's saying it out there in the public like that, I hope he can back it up when it's time to play.
Right.
Because if he doesn't back it up, then he's going to understand how this HBCU world works. They're going to nail him to the cross. So I hope he backs it up, and he'll get the first opportunity to back it up in the Orange Blossom Classic against FAMU on ESPN. So he'll get a chance on national television to back up everything he said.
Okay. Now, after a short stint overseas with NFL, Europe, and Tampa Bay, you decided to hang up the cleats. What was your decision making? Why did you decide to do that?
To be honest with you, I played football, but I enjoyed the thinking of the game more, the having a battle of the wits. You know what I'm saying? The schemes, putting the schemes together. Like, I enjoyed that part of the game. Playing was fun. Like, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed playing in college. But once they got to the NFL and it became like a business, I was one of those people who didn't know how to handle that part. You know what I'm saying? That was a struggle for me, handling that part. You know what I'm saying? When it came down to it, it was like, okay, I can keep trying to get in and play, or I can hang it up and get into coaching, which I enjoyed more.
Right.
I enjoyed teaching and coaching. Like I said, I called my own plays when I was in college. So I enjoyed that part of it, just thinking, putting schemes together and stuff like that. So it wasn't a long, drawn-out process for me. Oh, my God, I want to keep playing. Like, once my number wasn't called and nobody wanted to give me an opportunity, okay, let's hang them up and let's get into – because I could still affect the game in other ways besides playing.
Right.
So that's why I got into coaching, and I love it.
Got you. And actually, I have one last question for you, and it's about your coaching career. All right. You
Okay.
were the first African American quarterback to win a PSAL championship. How did that feel, knowing that you are a part of history in that way now?
You know what's crazy? It's in New York. It's so many people. When I first got here, there's so many people that's like crabs out here.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? It's so much jealousy. It's so much hidden racism. It's so much. So when you get a young guy like me that came into the fold of the whole PSL thing, a lot of people are threatened by me.
right.
I got this young black big kid, very loud, smart, and everything else. But I had to take that approach because, again, the good old boy network, as they call it out here in New York,
Mm,
they would eat you alive. So once I came in, they realized that, oh, the good old boy network didn't affect me, and I wasn't bothered by it. They realized that that I was different. And what I did was, rather than do what most people do, take your best athlete and put that quarterback, I developed quarterbacks. I
right.
went out and got guys that actually played the position to come and coach with me. And once we did that, we had a special group of coaches, and the players that year, they bought in, man. They bought in big time. You know, they took on the role. They embraced the role of being that team that can be the first to have, you know what I'm saying, a black head coach win a championship. They embraced that role.
Right.
They wanted to do that. You know what I'm saying? And they took it and they played, man. I tell you what, without the players and without the coaching staff that I had, because my coaches did a lot. I don't micromanage. I
Mm,
did not micromanage like they coach and the guys played for them. And without my coaches and without the players, man, that couldn't happen. That wouldn't have been possible. Definitely wouldn't have been possible. But so when we won it, it wasn't just me that won it. We all won it. And right now today, you can't take that away from us. And guess what? It's in history. It's in
exactly.
history book. So,
Right.
as long as you live, I tell the players all the time and time again. I always tell them, I said, look, as long as you live, you're going to be a history book question.
Mm-hmm.
What team, what team was the first one to win this?
Right.
What coach was the first? I say, you guys made me a history question. You know what I'm saying? You guys became a history question. So, we joke about that and the kids love it and everything else. And right now, those guys are, respectable young men doing great things. Some are still in school, about to graduate. Some are working. So, like I said, that's team. And one of them that's on the team, he plays for Rutgers. He's one of the top linebackers in the country, Olakunle Fatukasi. You got Cordell Ray, who's one of the linebackers who at Virginia State. We had a running back, Ramel Ashby, Taysom Mack, one of the top wide receivers in the ACC.
Mm,
As at Pitt. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, the guys we had guys. And we had guys, and like I said, they either still playing ball in last year or they out there in life being respectful young men.
that's dope, man. That's so dope. Listen, Bruce, thank you so much again for doing this interview. All right. When I say you had a tremendous impact on me as a kid, I really mean that. After watching that show, I remember I ran out the room and I went to the kitchen and yelled at my mom, like, Mom, I want to go to Grambling. Like, have you seen what Bruce did? Like, I want to go to Grambling. So, man, thank you so much for even agreeing to do this. You're my first interview. I was real nervous, but I got through it. So I just really appreciate you for even taking time out your schedule to do this, man. I really do.
No problem, man. Thank you. And like I said, man, guess what? The hardest part about being the first is getting through it. Once you get through it, you'll get better. You'll get better and better at it, man. So like I said, continue to work on your craft, continue to perfect your craft. And like I said, good luck with everything.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right.